failed NaNoWriMo. And when I say failed in air quotes, it's because although I didn't hit the 50,000 word count goal, I learned a lot, not only as a writer developing and honing my skills, but also lessons that can apply to almost every aspect of my life. And I also learned what I would do differently next time. Hi, I'm Izzy Annalisa. I'm a voice actress, content creator, writer, and overall massive nerd. And over the course of the month of November, I tried to write 50,000 words in a span of 30 days. And although that is a very lofty goal, I really thought I was ready. And here's the thing, I think I was kinda right. You see, my problem wasn't how much story I could tell at a good pace or how fast I was able to write. The days I was able to write for at least an hour, I would surpass my daily goal every time. And each day that I had the mental and physical capabilities to be able to write for at least 2 hours, I would hit an average of about 2,000 words. Now, if that's the case, why the hell didn't I hit the word count goal? The answer to that is layered, and I'm not just saying that to keep my lazy ass from being ridiculed in the comments. There are so many reasons why that word count goal just didn't happen. Let's dive into each reason and then talk about how exactly that could have been avoided, in hopes to not only prevent me having to go through these hurdles again, but also hopefully help some of you guys not have to worry about this when you try Nano. Hopefully. First things first, this was my first ever Nano. And no, I didn't do it with any organization. I kind of just did it by myself on the sidelines. I was always way too intimidated to participate in Nano. I watched so many Nano vlogs growing up and just never thought I was a good enough or fast enough writer to be able to participate in it. But this year, I had talked myself into giving it a shot. Now, on to the reasons why it didn't end up happening and the lessons I learned along the way. Reason number 1. Routine. I love a good routine. Without one, my mental health worsens and so does my productivity. And in November, my routine was severely lacking due to not only not prioritizing it enough, but also having a lack of self-discipline. But also, a big part of it was traveling. I traveled to Arizona to see family the first week of the month. I traveled to North Carolina with my husband the third week of the month, and then obviously the final week of the month was Thanksgiving. So I really did not set myself up for success here. I decided I'd make it work no matter what, and I had convinced myself I'd have enough downtime to be able to write and make it happen. But no, next year, no trips.
No kicks!
The holidays are unavoidable, but I can try my best to not schedule any trips for the beginning of the month and make it as mellow of a month as possible outside of my regular work schedule to give myself the best chance to be able to make up for, the lack of writing that might happen during Thanksgiving week. So, lesson number 1. Stick to a routine. Try and set up the perfect routine in Preptober to prepare the best you can to do Nano in November. Routine is your friend. After the first 2 weeks of forcing yourself to follow a routine, it becomes habit or whatever, or so I've heard. And then it's easy, right? 2 weeks of discipline for a lifetime of productivity. Reason number 2. Lack of planning. I had a vague idea for my Nano book, but I didn't have a finished outline, defined plot points, fleshed out character sheets, or even novel details such as tense and presence. So, lesson number 2, take advantage of Preptober. Make sure you have everything you need figured out before November starts. Outline as much or as little as you enjoy, but plan at least. Get those plot ideas laid out and flesh out those character sheets, guys.
No more saying cuss words, guys!
I thought since this book was a prequel to my main whip, that it'd be easier because I'm following some of the same characters. I don't need a character sheet. I don't need world building. I don't need plot points written out. I already know what's gonna happen up here. Yeah, no, I don't work that way. I can't write that way. I realized very quickly that I wished I had more written down and also had figured out the solidified character traits and personality and everything of these characters during the time period, since it does take place before my main whip happens. People change, and my book takes place 100 years before my main whip, and so I wish I would have written down what these characters were like specifically for this book, having different character sheet for this book. Obviously, I can basically copy and paste most of it, but change the little things that need to be changed. Don't just keep them up here. Write them down so that you can better understand and learn about your characters. Now, onto reason number 3. Too big of an idea. I thought this book would be small and simple, But no, that was before I realized the amount of research that goes into writing a book set in 1923 New Orleans. I ended up having to do a lot of research on how mob bosses worked back then, murder trials worked back then, what societal structures existed at the time, and what communities they affected the most. Some days I only wrote for about half the time because the other half was taken up by researching. Now, it was necessary research. I could not have written what I did without it, but I could have done the challenge easier having picked a book that wouldn't take as much research to write. And so, lesson number 3, create with knowledge of your limits. Normally when writing, I let myself go wild. I dislike the notion, write what you know, because I love researching things, looking into historical events, so on and so forth, so I'm never scared to write about something that would take a lot of research to do justice. For a challenge like this, I should have been more mindful of the limitations that needing to use my writing time as wisely as possible would bring. Types of novels I will write for future nanos will be cozy fantasy, modern day urban fantasy, fluffy romance, and horror. And I'll try to make the characters have jobs and lifestyles that I know well that take minimal research to write about. When I'm writing a book outside of Nano, I will research all day long. I really like learning about things and then writing about those things. But again, when it comes to a challenge, you gotta know what you're doing. And you gotta be able to write at a good speed and work on this novel without looking up everything. That's why fictional worlds, like a cozy fantasy, honestly, that's probably what I'm going to work on next Nano. Reason number 4, both over and underestimating myself. The title of that might bring some confusion, but let me cook. Hold on. Throughout the month, it was almost like I had 2 voices in my head, and they were fighting with each other at all times. One told me I could write 5,000 words in one sitting if I tried hard enough, and the other convinced me writing even 500 words was impossible. And it was important for me to ignore these voices and just to write for an hour or 2 and just see what happened. Not write until my fingers bled and my head ached, but also not just write 2 sentences and say, I guess I have writer's block. It was beyond important for me to find that middle ground. A grounded look at reality that based my knowledge and preconceived notions off of what had actually happened and not what my brain thought was possible. Examples being, if I'm really invested in a chapter and I'm able to fully lock in, I can write 1,500 to 2,000 words in 2 hours, easy. But after those 2 hours, I'm pretty much tapped out and need a break 9 times out of 10. Thinking of that past knowledge could have grounded me a little bit and told me, no, Izzy, you cannot write 5,000 words in one sitting. That's not realistic. Last time you did that, you felt like shit. But also, no, Izzy, you can't just go back and edit the last chapter you wrote. That's not productive when you're doing Nano. So, lesson number 4, ground yourself. If you find yourself in similar shoes, find the best ways you can to ground yourself. Things that ground you back to reality the best they can. Whether it's going to a coffee shop to write, being a hermit and writing, reading a bit before you start writing, or talking to yourself like a maniac. That's my favorite option. Get to know what your writing ritual can be exactly. What helps you not only unlock your creativity, but also pace yourself and not overwork yourself. No, seriously, what does it? Because I'm still trying to figure this out. This whole experience has been very important for me to have gone through to not only improve myself as a writer, but as someone who struggles with mental health and discipline. I learned some valuable lessons that I can apply to different aspects of my life. Sticking to a routine can apply to every aspect of my life. Finding a good routine that doesn't feel overwhelming, but also helps me get things done. Taking advantage of prep time can mean not letting myself overlook the importance of taking my time before diving headfirst into something. Thinking of how I'm going to execute something before balls to the walls, just blindly attempting things. And then create with knowledge of your limits is actually similar to a piece of advice I heard from Hank Green. I can't for the life of me find the original video that I am thinking of in my head, so please, if you know what I'm talking about, tell me in the comments the name of the video. But he basically said, create using the easiest path first. It's how he's able to do so much all the time. Look at all the things you're passionate about and follow the path of least resistance to start. Through doing that, you'll learn even more skills that unlock different things that are then easier to accomplish because you learned the skills by doing that first thing. If you pick the thing that you think you know every single skill you'll need to do, there will be skills you'll have to learn in order to actually accomplish that and finish it. And those skills might unlock another thing in your skill tree, per se. Learning the skills in that path unlock a different path, and then a different path, and then a different path, and suddenly you have a whole arsenal of tools at the ready to be used, and you can do whatever you want. And that is a piece of advice I desperately need to take to heart more. I love creating, but I have just so many ideas all the time. But thinking of it in that way makes it feel like it's actually attainable to do them all eventually. And then finally, ground yourself. That can apply to anything. It's important to get out of our heads sometimes, to live in the moment and just breathe, calm down. Anxieties can take over occasionally, and it's important to learn the best ways to ground yourself when that happens. Go for a walk, get a coffee, stretch, do things that take you out of your mind a little bit and bring you into the present moment. Do things that ground you so you can best handle whatever your brain is putting you through. All these tips seem so obvious now, so if you already knew all of these, good on you, go write your book. But for those I might have helped through this video, thanks for watching, and I'm glad I may have helped you. Happy writing!